The story starts within a dungeon, where our main character is taking a look at his stats, which show he has 99,999 remaining points. With just one more point he will be able to return home to Earth. He is interrupted by a member of his party with red hair named Arisa. She tells him off for dawdling when they have stuff to do. Our main character, named Saito, apologizes, claiming he was just checking his mana. However, his party do not care, saying he should have checked it earlier. Saito can't do much except apologize. He has been in this world ever since he was taken from Earth during high school. Initially, he received the ability of a spearman but was later forced to become a healer. He has been treated terribly as a healer for 7 whole years. If he can just get one more point to reach 100,000, then he hopes he can return to Earth. He is currently in a dungeon with the rest of his party. The redhead Arisa, whom we have already met, a black-haired guy named Rogue, and the party leader Nergui, who is currently calling everyone to a halt. He looks ahead to the deep dark cave in front of him, suspecting something villainous. He's not wrong, and a spider's leg comes thrusting out of the darkness. Nergui is able to block using his sword, and the others all call out to their party leader in worried tones. It's a giant spider and the team prepares to fight it, with our main character Saito being ordered to stay at the back like always. Arisa kicks off the attacks with a fireball spell, charging it up and hurling it towards the beast. With laser accuracy the attack lands, scorching the disgusting body of the large spider, searing it like a good steak. The many eyes of the spider grow furious, red with rage and sharp with determination. Nergui warns his party of an upcoming attack, but it's too late. The redhead Arisa is hit by one of the spider's sharp legs, which causes her immense damage. She falls to the floor badly wounded and the party rush to her aid, with Rogue trying to hold back the spider by throwing his daggers in its direction. He misses and his daggers hit the wall. However, it was enough to scare the spider off and buy them some time. Rogue notices that Nergui is in bad shape too, yet Nergui doesn't care about himself, turning to our main character and ordering him to heal Arisa. Saito is reluctant about doing this. If he heals wounds as bad as hers, then it will deplete his mana. Unfortunately, the party leader is insisting, so Saito has no choice but to obey. He knows if it was him that was dying on the floor, the party wouldn't even hesitate to abandon him. He uses a health restore spell on the injured woman, which is successful, turning to inform the party that his mana is almost gone now. Upon getting up, Arisa starts beating up our main character and yelling at him, understandably angry that he was refusing to heal her because of his mana levels. Nergui breaks up the fight because there are more pressing things to worry about. The spider is still around, and if there are other monsters of a similar strength here, then they are done for. Though embarrassing to admit, the party know they won't last long if they keep going, so they all agree to retreat. While they turn around to exit the dungeon, Saito thinks about how ungrateful his party is, with not a single one of them thanking him for healing them. Rogue comes to a stop when he notices a treasure chest on the floor nearby. Nergui advises him against opening it because it could be a trap or a curse, and it will be troublesome if he gets injured for a foolish reason. Rogue thinks it is worth the risk though, approaching the chest and kneeling down to open it while everyone watches intrigued. Their disappointment is immeasurable, and their day is ruined when they realize that the only thing inside the chest is just a couple of pieces of old leather. Such an item is not even worth selling. He drops the scrap on the floor and Nergui urges everyone to keep moving to get out of here. When Saito walks past the scraps of leather, he notices something strange about them. They have an unusual glistening effect. Letting the party walk ahead, he bends down to take a better look at these pieces of leather, touching them. Upon doing this, he is blinded by a bright light and starts screaming in pain, prompting the others to turn around, thinking that there is another monster or something. However, it is just Saito, rolling around on the floor and clutching his eyes, which are hurting badly. He's about to use a heal on himself until he is stopped by Nergui, who doesn't want our main character using up the little mana he has left so carelessly. Nergui takes a close look and can't see any injuries on Saito, assuming it must just be a minor bug sting or something. When Saito complains about how much pain he is in, the other members think he is just being a baby. Nergui yells at him to get up off the floor. He is the party's healer and should remember his role. He shouldn't be pathetically whining like this. Saito stumbles to his feet, annoyed that his party isn't taking his pain seriously. Once stood up, he hears an unusual voice of a masked man known as the Game Master, commenting on how he suffered damage from the trapped treasure chest. This isn't the only voice he hears. He also hears one of a blonde woman, who is the goddess that summoned him to this world. Saito doesn't know what to think of these voices. They are talking about him as if he is a character in a game, disappointed by his weakness, with another voice commenting on how usually it is necessary to invest skill points into a healer to make them stronger within this game. However, the blonde goddess doesn't seem to care. The game master suggests they move on and keep playing. He rolls the game dice as Saito stumbles along in the dungeon, trying to keep up with his party, and at the same time, figure out what he is hearing. The dice roll is revealed to be a 4, which is considered a failure within this game. Due to this, the game master declares that the party has failed to escape from the large spider. Saito snaps out of his haze, wondering what spider these voices in his head could be talking about. Then it hits him. The large spider from before has returned for revenge against the party, having followed them this far. The party desperately run as fast as they can, knowing they are not strong enough to defeat this beast. They only need to run a little further because up ahead is a rickety bridge. They will be able to lose the spider by crossing it. The leader Nergui makes it across first, urging his party to hurry. Erisa and Rogue are almost across. However, Saito is all the way at the back. He hears the game master calling this situation boring, making the large spider jump towards the bridge to spice things up. The other members of the party are all across and safe. Nergui can see that their healer is in trouble and it doesn't look like he is going to make it. The spider is on the bridge right behind him, causing it to shake as it hunts him down like a predator does to its prey. The voices continue, with one of them suggesting they cut the ropes to the bridge to get rid of the spider. The blonde goddess isn't happy about this, not wanting her character to be abandoned. Another voice calls Saito weak anyway, with barely any mana remaining. Saito starts crying, hearing these voices talk about him so carelessly, like he is nothing but trash. His party members are having a similar conversation, with Erisa and Rogue urging Nergui to cut the ropes to the bridge, calling Saito a useless healer anyway. Saito calls out for mercy, but Nergui doesn't believe he has a choice. If he doesn't cut the bridge down, then the whole party will die from the large spider. He slashes the ropes and the bridge collapses. Saito is sent tumbling down the large abyss, screaming out, "No way. No way, they just did that to him." With a thud, he crashes to the floor below. Still barely clinging to life, he hears a sound close by and wonders what it is. He sees that it is an injured bat laying at his side. Presumably it fell down here along with him when the bridge went down. Mustering up what little strength he has left, Saito forms his hand into a fist and begins pounding the bat. He doesn't just hit it once, but multiple times, trying desperately to get the 1 point he needs to reach 100,000. It works, and taking out the vampire bat gets him the points he needs. He is offered a choice of reward. Either he can return to Earth, or he can revive the deceased. Not needing to think about it, Saito immediately asks to be sent home, to Earth. The game master's voice reappears, expressing his surprise that the healer is still alive, and even managed to achieve 100,000 points. Though the blonde goddess is more fed up than surprised, expressing her exhaustion for having spent ages raising such a weak character. In that case, the game master suggests they conclude their session for today. Everyone leaves and the voices can no longer be heard inside Saito's head. He is still inside this world and has been left here, despite wanting to go home. The blonde goddess summoned him to this world, claiming the Earth was in danger, yet she was so quick to forget about him like that. Not giving up yet, Saito opens his status window, which shows he has acquired a new title, the one who escaped destiny. He ignores this notification, and instead invests all the points he has into healing skills, becoming a master of the Great Heal spell. He then uses this spell on himself to prevent himself from dying down here. While healing, he vows to never forget how he has been treated. He will make those that have abandoned him pay for everything. He gets up and starts walking, with a new golden halo above his head, signaling that he has become a great heal master. After walking for hours, he believes he has found another person, until he gets closer and sees that it is just a corpse, a skeleton in armor with a spear by his side. Saito politely asks the corpse if he can borrow his spear. That's when he notices a small spider crawling across the corpse's shoulder. Without hesitation, he grabs a hold of it in the palm of his hand. If he doesn't eat, then soon he will end up exactly like the corpse at his feet. He opens his mouth and throws the spider into his stomach. When he does this, he hears the sound of dice rolling again. The dice rolls a 5, which is also considered a failure. Due to this, Saito sustains poison damage from eating the small spider, prompting him to keel over and throw up. He doesn't know why he keeps hearing dice rolling. However, he knows he needs to focus on eating. Therefore, he keeps grabbing spiders off the floor and shoveling them into his mouth. He repeatedly sustains poison damage from doing this, which he repeatedly heals using his healing abilities. After doing this enough times, he earns the skill Understanding Venom. He's never seen such a skill before, but thinks that at least it is better than nothing. He grabs the corpse's spear and continues walking. This is his first day in the dungeon underground. With determined eyes, he vows to survive this place. The next time we see our main character, a whole week has passed. He has maintained sustenance by eating spiders. Over time, the dice rolls have gotten luckier, and he has been able to digest the spiders without getting poisoned more and more. During his time down here, he has been listening carefully to the sound of the dice and the voices inside his head. While he is walking, we can see that Saito is being followed by some kind of large butterfly, pink with a purple glow. Yet Saito is too preoccupied with the voices to notice, angry that the blonde goddess is treating him like trash when she is the one who summoned him here. After being down here a whole week, with a stroke of luck he comes across a pool of water, which he runs over to joyously. He falls face first into the water, practically drowning himself in it. With a smile on his face, he knows his chances of surviving are better now. Whilst distracted by the water, he hears the dice rolling again, failing to notice the giant butterfly creature that is about to ambush him. The creature is a Moslora, and luckily the dice roll is successful, and Saito manages to dodge the Moslora's attack. As if by force, his body is flung to the side to avoid the Moslora's strike. Confused about what's happening, he stumbles off the ground, only to see the Moslora coming in again quickly. Getting lucky again, the creature's attack misses our main character. Knowing his luck is going to run out eventually, Saito picks up his spear off the floor and pulls up his status window. He activates his attack skills, changing a title from Timid Coward to Bold Duelist. With this he thrusts his spear forwards forcefully, clashing with the creature's stinger. The spear runs straight through the Moslora, defeating it. The fight was a success, and for his victory Saito earns a total of 37 points. He can barely believe it, shocked that a weak guy like him was able to take down a creature strong enough to earn him 37 points. He removes his spear from the body of the Moslora, getting splattered in the face by its juices in the process. From this he is infected with poison again, which he is forced to purify. Upon doing this he acquires yet another skill, Venomologist rank B, which allows him to emit or absorb poison, something he had no idea a person could be capable of. With this skill he thinks about how he could use it in his battles, making him an even stronger fighter. The days in the dungeon underground grow longer, with Saito upgrading from spider dinners to eating a variety of other monsters. He kills and prepares a lizard-like creature to eat, and while he is snacking on it, something sneaks up behind him in the water. Giant and green with red eyes and a gaping mouth, this creature is known as a cave maggot. It bursts out of the water and attempts to swallow our main character whole. Saito remains calm. His poison deals with the cave maggot while he remains seated on the rock, enjoying his food. It's convenient having the ability to emit poison. Looking to the side of the defeated cave maggot, he notices something peculiar nearby which he reaches out and grabs a hold of. At first he is confused, until he notices that it is just a slime, pink and jelly-like. A closer look at the slime shows it is quite cute. Saito places it on his head, deciding to raise the slime and keep it around for some company. While walking again, he tries to think of a name for the slime, suggesting Thud because the slime bounces around a lot. The slime shakes in rejection, not liking that name, so he comes up with a new name, Lime. It's like taking the lime out of slime. The pink blob likes this name much better, and so it is settled. From now on he shall be called Lime. Saito expresses his hopelessness to Lime, explaining he has been down here for days and still hasn't found the exit. That's when Lime decides to help him out, hopping off his head and leading the way to a possible exit, a split in the wall, which Saito hadn't noticed yet despite passing through here a few times. He slides through the split in the wall, complaining on the other side that it is too dark for him to see anything. He removes his hood, using his halo to provide a little light. The place is bricked, as if man-made, not something Saito expected to see within a dungeon. His jaw drops further, reaching the end of a long hallway and seeing an enormous iron gate in front of him. After a forceful push, the iron gate doesn't budge in the slightest, so Lime jumps off of Saito's head, sliding inside the crack down the middle. Much to the surprise and worry of Saito, it doesn't seem to be a big deal and Lime gets the door open no problem. Our main character can tell that this is no ordinary slime. Lime starts trembling as if terrified, before Saito can figure out why he is attacked by some kind of creature with long green arms. It gets a hold of Lime within its slender grasp, and Saito can see that this thing is huge, green with red eyes all over its body like something out of a nightmare. He immediately drops his spear to the floor and attempts to run away like a weak coward. Then he turns around, remembering that Lime is still here and stuck within that creature's grasp. He scolds himself for acting like a scaredy cat. How long is he going to keep running away from his problems? He picks his spear back up and turns around. With a rise in courage he stands up to the beast, demanding that it give back his slime this instant. An Avenger skill activates, giving Saito an increase in all of his stats by one whole level. He quickly leaps out of the way of an incoming attack. one of the creature's many long, slender arms. He moves with speed, surprised to see how much his strength has improved after only increasing by 1 level with the Avenger skill. He stabs fiercely, hoping to slay the beast, yet a dice roll results in a 4, which means his attack fails. Saito tuts and backs off. The surface is way too hard for him to pierce with his spear. The dice rolls continue, with an 8 successfully being rolled, allowing Saito to evade the incoming attack. He can see a glowing pink light on the creature's body, and he can immediately tell that it is Lime the Slime. After blocking the next incoming attack with his spear, Saito is thrusted backwards. He decides to use this distance to his advantage, slamming his weapon into the ground and waving around his hands. If he can't pierce its body, then perhaps he can dissolve it with his poison. When the next long, slender arm swings at his head, he sidesteps it, pulling back his hand, preparing to unleash his poison. His hand glows purple and he thrusts forward. With another successful dice roll of 8, his poison is injected into the creature. He doesn't hold back, injecting as much poison as he can, hoping he will just be able to finish it off like this. However, the dice are rolled again, this time in preparation for an incoming attack that he needs to evade. The number 4 means he fails in dodging, getting smacked right in the face by the creature and getting poisoned in the process. He attempts to purify the poison, however he is too low of a rank. Instead, he uses his Great Heal spell to recover some of his health. He thinks that it's lucky he is into gambling, otherwise these dice rolls would be seriously getting on his nerves. That's when he realizes something. Taking another look at the glowing part of the creature's body, where Lime is, he grabs his spear off the floor again. Lime must be showing him the weak point of the monster, its core. Saito infuses his spear with some poison and charges forward, trying to pierce the center. It doesn't work, and does more damage to Saito than the beast, as Saito is affected by its poison for getting too close. Not only that, his spear has dissolved too, rendering it useless. Needing more health, Saito uses his Great Heal spell again. However, this time he accidentally uses it inaccurately. The Great Heal spell targets the monster. The spell turns out to be successful, and surprisingly, instead of healing the monster, the spell is applied as damage instead. The power of the Great Heal spell being used as an attack defeats the enemy. Yet after defeating such a powerful creature, Saito only receives 1 point for his efforts. He's disappointed until Lime hops onto his lap after being saved. He realizes that the points he earned doesn't matter. How can he be mad after saving an adorable slime like this? Saito leans back about to take a rest, but Lime hops off of him, leading the way down a dark corridor where a secret chest is hidden. Saito asks Lime to open it for him and Lime does. Upon taking a peek inside, Saito sees that it is filled with piles of different documents. The documents are from a Dr. Geppetto, stating that after being defeated in the war, he attempted a counterattack but failed. The overflowing flesh of the deity he was researching sealed the facility. From these documents, Saito learns that this Dr. Geppetto also managed to endure many hardships, ingesting poison and developing antibodies. Back with the gods, they are all angry at the game master, calling the game unbelievable. They are mad because after losing our main character as a healer, they acquired a new one, only for that new one to die as well. The party is back to only having 3 members. The new healer they recruited was so pathetic he died at the entrance to a dungeon, not even making it inside. Rogue suggests that they forget about the dungeon and just go back to the village, but Arisa doesn't want to go back. After spending 11 days out here, she feels as though it would be a waste. If it wasn't clear already, the gods are all controlling the characters in some sort of game, with the Game Master driving the story forwards. The Game Master encourages the gods not to give up and to keep playing. In-game, Arisa asks the party leader Nergui what he is going to do, and the bearded god with braided hair comments that they are going to proceed. They've already been through this dungeon once and have more potions this time. Therefore, the party leader orders his group to keep moving forward into the dungeon, despite being down a healer. Back with our main character, he is digging through all the documents he found to obtain as much information as possible, discovering that this is an artificial dungeon that was created by Dr. Geppetto, where countless toxic monsters were experimented on. Saito considers this place to be a treasure trove, calling Lime to sit atop his head again so they can explore more. In this place, he gathers new clothes, weapons, and 51 different types of toxins. He makes his way back into the rest of the dungeon with all his new stuff, when he notices something on the floor that grabs his attention. Getting a closer look, he can see that it is the pieces of scrap leather from the start of this story. The leather that Rogue found in a chest and that he foolishly picked up. Looking ahead, Saito can see the bridge that was cut down where he fell. After being stuck in here for a total of 53 days, finally he has returned to the location he was at before. Being back here immediately reminds him of his former party members, how they cut the bridge so easily, sacrificing him to save themselves. After spending 7 years treating him like trash, he falls to his knees and tries to calm himself down. He's not the same weak healer that he was way back then. He's changed. As he gets a hold of himself, a spider scurries across the ceiling above, scuttering across its web and sliding down to the ground. Down from its web it lands directly behind our main character, who is still kneeling down with his spear and lime. Saito knows the large spider is there, grabbing his spear and rising to his feet, expressing his satisfaction that the beast is still alive. It's a perfect preliminary match to prepare him to fight his scumbag party members later. Saito encourages the spider to come in for the kill, eager to start this fight and begin his path to getting revenge. This large spider is the dungeon boss, known as the White Tyrant. Saito starts the fight with his new spear, using a continuous thrust attack. He jabs at the spider's face repeatedly. However, the spider is able to block using one of its legs, and with another one of its many legs, it strikes Saito, who is sent flying backwards even though he blocked too. The spider hurtles forwards, not giving Saito a chance to catch his breath, cutting into our main character's body with its sharp pincers. Saito coughs up blood and the spider watches him closely, assuming that the fight is over already. It hisses with its many eyes and foul mouth. Saito insults the spider, telling it that this fight isn't over yet. After using his great heal spell, he is back to his feet, able to continue their brawl. He can see that the spider is shocked, probably presuming that Saito would be the same weak healer he was when they first met. That's not the case at all, and Saito's level has increased significantly since then. The spider pounces forwards, slamming its legs on the ground like harpoons. Saito dodges and weaves between them. The spider has a lot more legs where that came from, so he grabs his weapon in preparation to block, jousting away with his spear like they are in a sword fight. When an opening presents itself, Saito goes in for an attack of his own, thrusting forwards. However, the spear isn't strong enough to penetrate. If Saito is unable to pierce through, he knows he won't be able to administer his poison. The beast hisses again with its hideous eyes, and it's clear it's coming in for another attack. Its razor-sharp leg comes straight for Saito's neck. He is able to block it using his spear. However, the leg slips off of the spear after being blocked, causing it to pierce right through Saito's chest instead. He is raised high into the air like a kebab, yet he still doesn't give up. Thinking that even a dungeon boss can't have invincible eyes, he throws his spear as one last Hail Mary, landing it dead in the center of one of the arachnid's many pupils. The spider sways in pain and Saito is returned to the ground, where he uses a great heal spell to deal with his injuries. Wiping the blood from his face, he finally has a game plan. Focusing on the eyes will guarantee his victory. When he thinks this, he feels a pulling force on his leg, prompting him to fall backwards and to be dragged around uncontrollably. He wonders what this force could be, which is when he realizes he has been hit with a spider web. Before he knows it, he is being suspended in the air and wrapped in a cocoon. He attempts to cut himself free, but the spider webs keep coming, and he can't cut them all in time. With its prey wrapped up in a nice little ball, the spider starts stabbing with its legs. Saito yells out in pain from inside the webbing. The spider continues its slashing and stabbing, like an average British person on the streets of London. Saito is about to heal himself, though he thinks it would just be pointless. Even if he recovers, he will just end up in a similar situation to this all over again in a few minutes. Instead of constantly healing and wasting mana, he opts to just endure the pain instead, considering it the smarter option. As a spider typically does, the beast has its prey wrapped up in its web. It begins to shovel it down its mouth with its numerous rows of teeth. Once halfway down the boss's mouth, Saito decides that it is his time to fight back, releasing all the toxins he has inside his body and poisoning the spider. It's successful, and the spider spits out our main character, who then proceeds to cut himself free using his spear. To complete his perfectly executed plan, he heals himself after getting free, grabbing his spear and going in for the finishing blow. After a hard thrust, the dungeon boss is defeated, killed by Saito all by himself. From this, he has accumulated 540 points. He cheers with his fist in the air, celebrating with Lime the Slime. He bought this thing down and managed to get a whopping 540 points. Yet Lime doesn't seem happy, almost like it knows something isn't right. Looking at his hands, Saito notices that his skin color looks unusual. Pulling up his status window, it shows that he has a toxic side effect from that fight, meaning it is going to take him 48 hours to fully recover. With an appearance like this, Saito doubts that anyone outside of this dungeon will recognize him compared to how he was before. He turns to Lime, suggesting they leave this place. He survived this place by himself and defeated the boss without a party. He exits the dungeon and feels the fresh breeze of the blue sky for the first time in months. He places lime inside his pocket to discreetly rest, then he leans up against a tree, soaking in all the refreshing sunlight. Once he has taken a deep breath, he yells out in victory. Finally, he has escaped the dungeon. This loud cheering catches the attention of people passing by, who demand to know who he is. Saido's mouth drops when he sees who is in front of him, and the man repeats his question, asking who he is and how he got out here. We see that the people that have approached are Saido's original party, Arisa, Nergui, and Rogue, yet they don't seem to recognize Saido at all. The party demand an answer to their questions, so Saido makes up a story. 2 days ago, he came to the dungeon and all his party members were wiped out. Nergui seems annoyed that if a random guy has been in the dungeon, then that must mean its location has been exposed to everyone else. He pushes past Saido and tells him to keep doing what he was doing before. Saido hears the voices of the gods again, frustrated that everything seems to be going wrong for them. Their party's new healer died and the dungeon location was exposed. Seeing an opportunity here, our main character calls out to the party. He is a healer and will happily tag along with them in exchange for a share of the clear points. The party is intrigued by this offer, in desperate need of a healer. The game master encourages the gods to make a decision. Everyone seems fine with it except for Nergui, who wants to know more, asking Saido what kind of skills he has. With Restore and Purify at D rank and Healing at C rank, it is enough for the party to allow him to join. Saido lowers his head to say thank you and the party head into the dungeon to try and clear it. On the way they come across an enemy, the Moslora, pink and sparkly like a demon fairy. Rogue is the first to spot it, readying his daggers and alerting everyone else about the incoming threat. Saido stays back and watches impressed as the team leader Nergui takes out the Moslora with a single strike. He sheaves his sword and prepares to enter the dungeon, turning to check everyone else. Rogue isn't paying attention and behind him is a smaller enemy. Saido recognizes the creature from Dr. Geppetto's journal. It's a corpse bee. Upon being stung by one, you will be paralyzed for 2 hours, in a state with a ghostly appearance. The rest of the party haven't spotted this creature. It lands on Rogue's neck and stings him. The game master rolls the dice and the gods ask why he is doing that when nothing is happening. The dice roll is a failure, meaning Rogue is severely affected by the bee sting and falls to the floor. The gods now realize what the dice roll was for. They don't seem worried though, thinking they can cure Rogue's paralysis with a simple Purify spell. The game master doesn't allow it though, since none of the party members know it was caused by a corpse bee. It wouldn't make sense for them to use a Purify spell, since using that spell on a corpse goes against probability. Hearing these voices and seeing the party, Saido realizes that the gods are controlling these people in some kind of dice game. Since the party don't know about the corpse bee, Saido tells them that it looks like Rogue was hit by something. His heartbeat is gone and it feels like he's dead. Believing the words of our main character, the party decide to just leave Rogue's body out here, taking any useful equipment he has. Rogue tries to tell them that he isn't dead and is only paralyzed, but it's no use. He can't even open his mouth. Being left out here like this, he will be at the complete mercy of the monsters. The night comes around and the remainder of the party make their way into the dungeon. Nergui, Arisa, and Saido. As he has been down here before, Saido confirms to the team leader that they are heading in the right direction. Due to the darkness, Arisa goes to the front of the group, lighting the path with her fire magic abilities. It's still a little dark though, and Alice steps on a loose rock, almost falling down the side of a cliff. Luckily, Saido grabs a hold of her just in time, warning her to be careful since the path is dangerous. When she thanks him, Saido says it is no problem. She probably only stumbled because she cut off her leg. Hearing this prompts the team leader to draw his sword and slash at our main character, demanding to know how he could have possibly known she cut off her own leg. Saido calls himself stupid for opening his big mouth like that as he dodges the sword. He leans back and grabs a hold of Arisa's shoulder, administering some paralysis poison into her body. She falls to the floor and now Nergui definitely knows that something is up, ordering our main character to tell him his real identity. At this exact moment, it has been 48 hours since Saido was infected with poison after fighting the spider boss. Therefore, his body is now returning to normal. He's sure that the team leader should be able to recognize him now. Today marks the 59th day since they abandoned him down in the dungeon. Saido draws his spear and his Avenger skill is activated, increasing his stats by 1 level. The gods are all surprised by this turn of events, turning to the game master to ask what is going on. The game master starts to stutter and sweat can be seen from behind his mask. The healer has returned from death and is back. Instead of being angry and complaining, one of the gods actually finds the scenario amusing. He's impressed that this is what the Game Master had planned all along, a revenge scenario. The Game Master goes along with it while still sweating. Yes, that's correct. Everything is going as he planned it to. Saito smiles and wipes his chin. After listening to the voices for a while, he is starting to be able to distinguish between them, recognizing who the Game Master is, and also who is in control of Nergui. Nergui finds it amusing that a mere healer has gone through all this trouble just to get revenge on him. Saito grips his spear and goes in for an attack, stating that if Nergui finds this amusing, he will only find it more amusing when he gets his butt whooped. Nergui blocks the thrusts of Saito's spear. However, he notices that they are creating holes on his weapon. He wonders why this could be. How are his thrusts strong enough to inflict so much damage? Saito just smiles, explaining that he isn't the weak person he was before and has changed. The god in control of Nergui informs the Game Master that he would like to make a change. He wants to use his player points to bring out the warrior's weapon. In the game world, lightning crackles from above. Some sort of wormhole opens up and sends an object flying to the floor in front of Nergui. It's a hammer brought forth by the guardian spirit, looking straight up like something Thor himself would wield. The weapon moves on its own and places itself within Nergui's hands. From what he can tell, it seems like it was sent by his guardian spirit. Saito knows the truth though. That hammer is nothing more than another piece of the god's chessboard. With his new weapon, the fight resumes. He brings his hammer down with force as lightning crackles and Saito blocks. He can feel such incredible power coming from the weapon, struggling to hold it back. The harder Nergui pushes, the more lightning spews from the weapon, electrocuting Saito like he just stuck a fork in an outlet. He falls to the floor, realizing that this weapon is strikingly similar to the hammer the god Thor wields, Mjolnir. Perhaps these really are gods that are controlling them. Nergui approaches slowly, wondering if the fight is over already, though he admits that for a healer, Saito put up an impressive fight. Saito uses a great heal spell so he can keep going, intriguing the gods that are spectating with interest. Fully healed, Saito comes in for an attack. However, Nergui is able to dodge it simply by raising his hammer. There's no way a mere spear can penetrate a weapon like this, and the poison doesn't seem to be having an effect either. Nergui slams his hammer into the ground and Saito throws himself backwards out of the way. As if charging it up, Nergui then raises the hammer to the sky, allowing it to be struck by lightning. He swings it with force and smacks Saito in the face, frustratingly telling him to stop running away. If he's really here for revenge, then he should fight like a man. After being hit with such a weapon, Saito is in immense pain. It's now clear to him that the people in control really are gods. He rolls over on the floor grunting, coming to the realization that everyone down here are just their playthings. He attempts to crawl away, wanting to escape from this place. Nergui appears behind him, calling him a coward. This is a fight that is being observed by a guardian spirit, yet he is trying to run away. How pathetic. Before Nergui can swing his hammer, Lime the slime jumps out of our main character's pocket and onto the party leader's face. Lime has poison effects which come into contact with Nergui when the slime attaches itself to his cheek. The gods find it amusing and cute, except for Nergui, who rips the slime off of his cheek angrily, calling it pathetic. Seeing Nergui handle Lime in such a careless and barbaric manner infuriates Saito, who orders the brute not to touch him. Saito uses a great heal and prepares to keep fighting again, much to the surprise of Nergui. When he was just trying to run away, Nergui finds it hard to believe he is staying to fight just because of a pet slime. Saito yells out, "Lime is not a pet, he is a precious member of his party." Pulling back his fist and preparing to throw a punch, he demands that Nergui give him back. Nergui comes in with an attack too, swinging his hammer high into the air. The Game Master decides who is going to be the victor of this fight by rolling the dice. Saito rolls a 7, whereas Nergui rolls a 10. Since 10 is the higher number out of the two, Nergui is declared the winner. The god insults the Game Master with such a pitiful ending to their game. Just as the hammer is being brought down onto our main character, he acquires another skill titled Dice God. If he shouts the word dice, then he is able to roll once more. The skill has 2 charges and only charges once every 24 hours. There are more details too, like if he rolls the same number twice, he gets another go. With the 2 rolls being added together, he has no choice but to try and use this skill or else he is going to die here. He activates the skill by yelling out the word dice and time comes to a stop. His roll comes out to 6, 2 3s. Since he got 2 of the same number, he gets to roll once more. His next roll is a 3 and a 4 for a total of 7. Adding this to the previous 6 means he has rolled a combined number of 13. 13 is a higher number than 10. Due to that, Nergui is no longer considered the winner of this duel, and the tides have turned in favor of Saito. His punch moves much faster through the air than Nergui's hammer, connecting with his chin and unleashing a special kind of poison. Nergui stumbles backwards and falls to his knees as Saito praises his new skill. Dice God really is incredible. The god blames the game master for this turn of events, claiming he has manipulated the game. However, the game master insists that this isn't the case. Things are happening as they are supposed to. Nergui looks up at Saito, wondering how something like this is possible. Saito stands over him. It's like he said before. He's not the weak healer from the past. He's much stronger now. He raises his foot on Nergui's chest, commenting on how this situation seems eerily similar to one he experienced not long ago. Nergui calls our main character a brat, as he is kicked off the cliff and sent falling all the way to the ground. After what just happened, an uproar kicks off with the gods. The one that was in control of Nergui is furious. Unable to admit defeat, he won't forget what happened today. He storms off with the others, wondering where he is going. The game master holds his head nervously, panicking and thinking he is doomed because the game isn't going as it was supposed to. Saito exits the dungeon back the way he came, walking past Arisa, who is still paralyzed. She orders him not to come anywhere near her and he happily obliges, walking straight past her like a Sigma male. Her paralysis should wear off in about an hour. Until then she is unable to move. Saito waves goodbye to her. If she is lucky, she will survive and won't get taken out by monsters. The next day the sun is shining and there is a carriage with a horse. A man is loading another guy into the back of the carriage who is all tied up and gagged. He spots our main character approaching from the distance and informs his sister. His sister, with white hair and pale skin, comments on how this must be her lucky day. Saito is too busy thinking about his revenge plan to notice them. His party has all been taken care of. Now he only needs to deal with the blonde goddess that summoned him here. But he doesn't know how he can even consider defeating a being like that. Eventually he spots the carriage with the brother and sister standing alongside it. It's unusual for a carriage to be all the way out here. Taking a look at the items that Saito has on him, the siblings start a conversation. They are heading to the village and will happily give him a ride if he needs one. His legs are tired and it sounds like a nice ride. However, Saito knows it is too risky to get involved with strangers, so he refuses, claiming there is something he needs to do nearby. In that case, the sister threatens him, demanding that he place all his items on the ground. Saito turns around to see her charging up a spell. He hears the dice rolling again. The dice roll results in a success, allowing Saito to avoid the sister's paralyzed spell that she tried to hit him with. He insults her by calling her a petty robber with a low skill level. This infuriates the sister, who tries to use her magic again, this time using all of her strength, even surprising her own brother. She keeps going and Saito resists everything she attempts to throw in his direction, from paralyze to acid bomb to curses. Eventually she stops when her brother worries that she will destroy the items they are trying to steal. Saito recovers from the spells, acquiring a new skill for his efforts, titled Bane of Poison. This skill gives him resistance to 100 different types of poison. The brother tells his sister to please control her temper in the future. He rubs his head, but his sister keeps her gaze fixed forward, watching Saito closely. He uses a great heal spell on himself and pounces forwards, striking the sister with a poison-infused punch. She falls to her knees, unable to believe that a mere human could possess such poison strength. Getting a closer look at the sister, Saito notices that she is an elf, revealed by the long pointed ears that were previously hidden by her hair. Saito scratches his chin, thinking about how all the elves he has met in this world have been psychos. The brother attempts to defend his sibling, preparing to draw his sword and fight. However, Saito warns him that if he goes down that route, then his elf sister will probably end up dying. The guy does nothing as Saito walks past him and approaches their carriage. The elf demands to know who he is. While hopping onto their carriage, he tells her he is just a healer that is passing by. On the carriage he sees all of their stolen goods, noticing that they are rich. The elf calls him a liar. There's no way he's a healer if he is that strong. Saito rides off in their carriage, thanking them for their money and ride. As he leaves, he tells them he has been rolling around in this world for 7 years. That's why he is so strong. He rides his stolen carriage into the village, arriving there at sunset with the sky a bright orange. He's glad to be here and can't wait to finally eat a proper meal. While riding, he notices that the atmosphere of the village seems off. The streets are somber and the few people outside don't seem happy. Meanwhile, back with the elf and the blonde guy, the elf's paralysis has worn off. The blonde guy's name is Jang Min and the elf is Kona. It is revealed that they are both abandoned heroes. These are people who have been taken from Earth and placed inside this world, exactly like our main character. While they squabble about getting revenge on Saito, a sinister voice calls out to them and approaches. Turning around, they see that it is a person called Dong Jun. He is a fallen hero, which is someone that kills people to take all of their points. Dong Jun slowly approaches, teasing Kona for getting herself paralyzed like that. When Kona responds aggressively, Dong Jun raises his weapon to her throat, threatening to kill her for her rude tone. Jiangmin attempts to defuse the situation, assuring Dong Jun that his sister had no evil intentions with her harsh words, it's just how she is. Jiangmin then proceeds to ask Dong Jun if he has seen another hero around here anywhere, specifically one in his 7th year. The scene cuts back to Saito in the village. He has bought new clothes and found a place to stay, and he is currently about to eat. He digs into all the tasty food he has been served. He hasn't eaten anything this amazing in a long time. While stuffing his face, he overhears a conversation taking place on a nearby table. People are discussing a plague that has been spreading around, yet another meddling situation people are having to deal with. Saito had no idea there was a plague, thinking that this must be why the village seemed so gloomy when he entered. He isn't worried and thinks it will probably resolve itself soon. Though looking over to the heroes on the table nearby, he notices that he can see their titles, which was something he couldn't do before. His status window shows that this is because he has leveled up his skill titled Free from Destiny. Level 1 allowed him to hear the voices of heroes, whereas level 2 lets him see their stats. He has a total Destiny score of 10, and thinks if he raises it he might be able to see more of people's stats. However, he isn't sure. After a lot of eating and drinking, he exits the building and thinks about leaving the village. He hops back onto the carriage, dreaming of a soft bed he has been waiting for a long time. As he prepares to ride off, he catches the glimpse of a weapon gliding through the air, heading in his direction. It narrowly misses the horse, jamming right into the front of the carriage. Saito demands to know who the thrower of the weapon is. The person is revealed to be Dong Jun, who removes his hood. From the crimson tattoo on the side of his face, Saito can tell he is a fallen hero. These fallen heroes get a tattoo for every person they kill. Dong Jun is surprised Saito managed to avoid his weapon. Even for someone who has been here for 7 years, he's quite skilled. Saito wonders how this guy could possibly know he's been here for 7 years, realizing it probably has something to do with that elf he met earlier. It doesn't matter either way. Saito doesn't have any points to steal because he already used them all up. So it is him who will be doing the killing today. Dong Jun scoffs at our main character's boldness, but Saito continues, commenting on how, judging by his tattoos, Dong Jun has killed a lot of heroes before, meaning he probably has a lot of points himself from taking them from others. Dong Jun urges Saito to get to the point. What's he getting at? Saito leaps down from the carriage, explaining that he is going to kill the villain and take all the points he has. He reaches forward and attempts to touch him with his poison hands. When Dong Jun notices this and slides out of the way, Saito doesn't hold back, immediately coming in for a second strike and throwing a punch which is blocked. Dong Jun smirks. A healer able to use poison abilities is interesting indeed, but there is no point in it if he can't land a single attack. Saito compliments Dong Jun's weapon, which he is flattered by. He gets sidetracked and starts talking all about his spear and how impressive of a weapon it is. Saito responds by saying he knows all about impressive weapons because he has one himself. He lifts up his jacket, revealing the hammer that he stole from Nergui. The villain is impressed by it, though he can tell that it was stolen. He reveals that he also isn't the owner of his spear, and it is also a stolen weapon. Their conversation about weapons is nearing a close, and Saito can tell they are about to resume their fighting. As expected, Dong Jun thrusts his spear forwards, narrowly missing Saito's neck. The dice rolling begins, and as the next spear attack comes in, Saito rolls a 4, which is a fail, meaning he is about to get hit. He quickly uses his re-roll skill to go again. This time the dice show the number 11, which is a success. He evades the strike and it ricochets off his armor and hits the wall behind him. Now is the perfect time for a counter-attack. Saito lands a punch directly on Dong Jun's face, injecting him with poison in the process. This makes the villain angry and he pulls out a small blade from his person, charging forward and slashing it. However, the poison he was infected with is a special kind of poison that can destroy his nerve cells. He starts to violently cough up blood until he falls to the floor dead. Saito earns 647 points for defeating the fallen hero. The second battle he has won thanks to his dice re-roll skill. This fight also increased his total destiny score from 10 to 13. He thinks it must be because he used his re-roll skill and thus changed destiny. If his destiny score keeps increasing like this and gets really high, he ponders on what might happen. It's definitely important that he keeps an eye on that score. He removes the villain's spear from the wall and takes it with him, calling for Lime to jump up on his shoulder. He gets a headache when the voices of the gods start chattering away in his head again, asking the game master when the next dungeon starts. The voices are really starting to get on Saido's nerves. Down below him in the streets he hears noises and so glances down to see what's going on. The Sacrament have arrived to deal with the plague that has broken out. Saido had heard they were coming but didn't know it would be so soon. They are all crowding the streets below, with one of them stating that they don't feel good about the blockage. Another one explains that they have no choice. It's better to quarantine the village than to let the plague spread like crazy. One god with gray hair starts talking, asking if they should evacuate the residents first, so that the content isn't ruined. Another blonde-haired god states that not evacuating the residents is the whole point. There's no hero story without crisis and conflict. The game master smiles. The townspeople haven't been evacuated on purpose, as a key part of this dungeon arc involves saving them. In that case, the gray-haired god understands. Saido listens carefully, surprised that this plague is being used as content amongst the gods. He thinks about how little they must value human life. Then Lime jumps off his shoulder and tries to show him something. Lime hops towards a child on the floor who is in bad shape. With marks on their skin, it seems like they have been infected by the plague. Saido doesn't think and touches the child that is calling out for her mother. Simply by touching her, he has become infected with the plague too, the Black Death. Since he is already infected, he decides to help the girl, using his skills to absorb the illness that is within her body. Moments later, her body is fine and back to normal, with clear skin and full movement returned. On the other hand, the same can't be said for Saido, who now has the Black Death plague within his body and is vomiting profusely, healed over with marks all over his body. The girl is about to help, however he yells at her not to touch him, as he doesn't want her to get infected again. He tells her not to worry about him, he is fine. He attempts to use Purify, but he isn't a high enough rank for it to work on this disease. Therefore he uses his Great Heal spell instead. This heal spell gives him some much needed relief. It's been a while since he's dealt with that level of toxicity. Seeing the halo that is now above his head, the little girl believes our main character is some kind of saint or something. He accidentally pulled out his halo because of the amount of toxicity that was in his body. On the bright side, he has managed to adapt to the Black Death plague. He looks down to the little child, that is still referring to him as a saint, and tells her it's time she went home. The child pulls on our main character's clothes, asking if he can heal her mother too because she is also sick. In fact, there are many sick people in the village, all of whom need help. Saido thinks about what he should do. On one hand, he doesn't want to get involved with the sacrament. But on the other hand, pretending like nothing is happening and doing nothing doesn't feel right either. At this moment, Saido receives some notifications. One is a main objective quest for him to defeat the boss monster, with a side quest of rescuing a total of 376 total village residents. The boss has also been weakened. Saido takes special notice of the side quest, noticing that for each person he saves he gets 3 points and the boss gets weaker. He scratches his chin in deep thought, realizing that if he does well he would be able to take all of the points for himself. It seems like a no-brainer. He grabs the child's hand and agrees to help her, asking her to guide him to the people that need help. The child has a pure smile, happy that a saint is going to help save her mother and all the others in the village. Whereas Saido has a cheeky smile, happy about all the points he is going to get from this. The child's name is Haley, and she takes Saido to see her mother who is stuck in bed with the plague. Despite being ill, the mother still scolds Haley for going outside where it is dangerous. Haley tells her mother it's okay, because she has brought a saint back with her. The mother wonders what on earth her child is talking about. Just by looking at her face, Saido can tell that this is serious and there is no time to be wasting. He immediately approaches and places his hand upon the woman's head, absorbing the Black Death from her body and into his own. A blue light glows around them as the spell is used, and Haley waits patiently at the end of the bed. Before long, the mother's skin is clear and her body is better. She looks down at herself with amazement. The Black Death has completely gone like a miracle. She gratefully grabs the hand of Saido, thanking him for what he just did, and asking if he is a member of Sacrament. Not knowing what to say, Saido just says that he is sort of a member. He then turns to the child Haley, asking her politely to gather up all the villagers for him. The game master immediately notices that there is an intruder in the village, stealing the side quest and completing it before any of the other gods. The gray-haired god is fine with this, as long as the people are saved, then that's all that matters. However, the blonde guy is furious, not liking the idea of someone stealing the sacrament's content, and suggesting they kill him. The game master agrees with the blonde god because an intrusion could disrupt the content. Understanding, the gray-haired god agrees to mobilize his priests to try and deal with the situation. Back in the game, the Sacrament are still discussing what to do, with the same female member still not liking the idea of a quarantine. If everyone is sealed off, there is a chance they might perish. Even if she has to do it alone, she is willing to go into the village and heal them. The gods and Game Master boast about this scenario and how interesting it is getting, the perfect setup for a priest hero. Another member of the Sacrament named Haynes doesn't want the female member going in alone. If she's going into such a dangerous place to heal the villagers, then he is going to go in with her. She is thankful for his words, not just ignoring her worries about the quarantine, but offering to help. It means a lot. Meanwhile, Haley is chanting out in the street, calling all the sick villagers to come and get cured one by one. They enter a room where Saito puts them back to normal within seconds. He has already rescued a total of 370 villagers out of the 376 he needs to for the side quest. This number is going up quick, with Saito rushing everyone along, already curing 3 more villagers in the span of a moment. He hears the gods talking about the intruder and how they are close to catching them. He knows they are about to catch him, but it doesn't matter because it's too late. This last villager he is curing now is the last one he needs to do. After the side quest has been complete, he receives all the points and a loud explosion booms in the streets. From completing the side quest, the boss has been weakened significantly. It steps out from hiding onto the street in front of Haynes, revealing itself to be a lick, with a blue aura and a skull for a head, red eyes and torn up black clothes. Yes, a stranger just cleared the side quest. However, the Sacrament have more important things to deal with. Haynes orders the female member, whose name is Yunha, to use her buffs. Yunha follows his orders, using a heavenly hymn and a shield divine protection spell to protect Haynes. Haynes charges forwards to duel with the boss monster, swinging his sword as the lick reaches its bony arm towards him. Haynes chops the arm right off. The lick then counters by using magic, sending a wave of blue energy in his direction. He panics, but a divine protection spell is casted which protects him from the boss's spell. Looking to his left, he sees that the protection shield was casted by Yunha, who tells him to leave the support to her and he should just focus on attacking. Haynes is a fan of this plan, asking Yunha to protect him again as he goes in for another strike. It's all over for the boss lick, who gets its head and torso sliced off in 2 smooth cuts, earning Haynes 783 points for defeating it. Yunha rushes over right after, checking if he is hurt anywhere, explaining that all they need to do now is destroy the lick's core. However, Haynes has a dark expression and reaches to pick the core up off the floor, a red orb-like object. After grabbing the lick core, he looks at it villainously, asking Yunha if she has ever heard the legend of the Death Knight. Yunha doesn't like seeing her comrade like this, asking why he has suddenly started acting in this way. Haynes ignores her words and instead places the lick's core inside of his mouth. The god responsible for this decision was the blonde one. The gray-haired one isn't happy, however Blondie explains that he is just following the rules of the story. According to the scenario, Haynes is a cunning schemer and hypocrite. He became a high-ranking member of the Priest Society out of desire for power, and follows the legend of the Death Knight to gain even stronger power. It's an interesting turn of events. The gray-haired god still doesn't like the turn the story has taken. However, the game master insists that it is allowed. Considering the character's background, swallowing the lick core is an acceptable action, and within the limits of probability. The gray-haired god realizes he is alone, with even the game master sticking up for Blondie. The blonde god chuckles, encouraging the game master to roll the dice so they can find out what happens next. The dice roll a 2, which is an epic fail. Haynes swallows the lick core, but instead of absorbing its power, he succumbs to its toxicity and loses his life. Seeing her comrade coughing up blood and keeled over, Yunha rushes over to his aid. What has he done? Haynes turns to look at Yunha, attempting to say her name with his last breaths. He falls to the floor and dies. The blonde god expresses his disappointment. He had been planning this move for a while, and he thought for sure Haynes would survive. He gets over it pretty quickly, saying this is just a game. He can just go and recruit a new hero to play with instead. Back with our main character, he is still with Haley and all of the village people. Now that their treatments are complete, they can all go home. He leaves them as they thank him, with many of them still referring to him as a saint. Saito is glad that this is finally over, since the boss seems to have been defeated. He considers running away now. He was listening to everything and can't believe that guy was stupid enough to eat the core of the lick. The blonde god is really a scumbag, but at least the gray-haired one seems decent. The voices haven't stopped yet, with the game master informing the gray-haired god that the story is still going. An ominous sound is heard, and the game master explains that the core of the Lick has found a new host. Even though Haynes died, he is being resurrected into a Lick and the dungeon is opening back up again. Seeing her comrade moving again reminds Yuna of their memories together. However, she knows that this monster that has just been resurrected isn't him. She casts a sacred ground spell immediately, trying to deal with the Lick quick. Unfortunately, her spell fails and the Lick resurrects successfully. The spell makes the Lick angry and he summons an undead legion to fight by his side. Frightened, the game master warns the gray-haired god to run away. He doesn't want to leave the villagers behind to be at the mercy of this Lick. But the game master explains that he has an idea, begging the god to just run away. Yuna knows she can't do anything against the Lick with her power. Hopefully the rest of the sacrament will mobilize their troops soon. She casts a haste spell allowing her to run away with great speed. While running, she hears the screams of all the villagers begging to be saved. These are the screams of the villagers that just received treatment and were trying to return home. It's unfortunate, but the game master encourages the gray-haired god to keep running. He doesn't want to though, insisting that he isn't just going to abandon people. The haste spell comes to an end, so Yuna casts another one, rushing to the aid of a villager who is about to be killed by one of the undead legion. She uses the sacred ground spell to deal with it. However, it doesn't fully kill the monster and her mana is now depleted. The monster recovers and returns to trying to kill the villager. With no mana, Yuna runs in front of the monster and blocks its strike with her staff. Whatever it takes, she is going to do her best to protect the people. The game master activates the idea he had earlier to try and deal with this situation, setting another side quest due to the appearance of the undead. The side quest is simple. For every villager that is protected from the undead, a hero will receive 10 points. The game master is trying to get the attention and help of our main character. Obviously not turning down an opportunity to earn points, Saito starts to defend the villagers using his spear, taking out a bunch of the undead with ease. With Lime the Slime sitting atop his head, he has a smile on his face, eager to make use of this double points event. He is spotted by Yuna, who wonders who this person is that everyone keeps calling Saint. Saito ignores her and sets his gaze on the Lick boss that is glowing red. Yuna tries to warn him to wait for the troops of the Priest Society that will for sure be arriving soon. Saito doesn't care though, marching straight forward and towards the enemies. He strolls right into the center of them all as they claw at him. Once close enough to the boss, he uses his Great Heal spell. This single spell clears the whole dungeon, taking out the boss and acquiring over 3,000 points. Even the gods are impressed, wondering who could have discarded of such a remarkable hero. Now that he has collected all the points here, Saito talks to Lime on his shoulder, suggesting that they leave now. However, the troops of the Priest Society arrive and block his exit. A man named Pierre calls him a swindler, who has dared to step into this village and impersonate a saint. Yuna tries to explain to Pierre that Saito is a good guy that helped defeat the boss, but Pierre doesn't believe her. The crime of impersonating a saint is just too great for Pierre to let it slide. Not only that, Haynes has also been killed. If Saito can't explain what happened properly, then Pierre threatens to arrest him. The villagers speak up, ordering the Priest Society not to harm the saint that saved them. It is revealed that the elf Kona and her blonde brother Jangmin are also amongst the crowd of villagers. They had traveled here hoping for revenge, though they think now might not be the best time. Saito spots them within the crowd, wondering what they are doing all the way here standing with the villagers. At this point, Pierre is getting aggressive, demanding that our main character reveal his true identity and answer their questions. Saito lies through his teeth, telling them that he is a secret inspector that was sent here directly under the Holy Priest. Pierre calls this statement nonsense. There is no evidence and the Holy Priest hasn't told him anything about a secret inspector. Saito activates his powers and reveals the halo on his head, trying to use it as evidence to prove he is telling the truth. More villagers fall to their knees, seeing that he really is a saint. While using his powers, Saito activates his poison abilities, rolling a 7 and successfully using special poison. He directs this poison at the siblings that followed him all the way here looking for revenge. They fall to the floor and Saito tells Pierre that these are the people he should be arresting. The elf Kona is a wicked bandit and the man next to her is her comrade. Saito claims he was just trying to hunt the criminals down and ended up in this village, where he decided to do a kind deed and help the villagers. He apologizes for overstepping boundaries and Pierre forgives him, insisting that he is the one who should be sorry for treating a secret inspector so rudely. Saito then says that Haynes died honorably, helping defeat the Lick boss that was attacking them. Yuna knows this isn't true and is about to say something until Saito privately communicates with her through telekinesis. It is best to lie about what happened to Haynes like this to protect the honor of the Covenant, otherwise the people will lose trust in it. Yuna keeps her mouth shut and Saito says his goodbyes. There is another mission that he needs to attend to. The gray-haired god and the game master know everything that was just said was a lie. There is no such thing as a secret inspector and Haynes died from eating the liquor. What an interesting story. The villagers all cheer for our main character as he walks away. He thinks about how helping others isn't always a bad experience, turning to look at Lime and asking if he agrees. After some traveling, Saito arrives in the city of Flat Piece Alchemy, hoping he can sleep in a nice bed tonight. He spots an alchemy workshop and goes inside hoping that he can sell some items. When the man at the counter asks what he's selling, Saito explains that he has some antibodies that can be adapted to create poisons. The guy was expecting magical artifacts or materials but is willing to take a look. Using a monocular, he can tell that the antibodies are unique, with all of them coming from unfamiliar poisons. The guy advises Saito to try and sell it in the workshop next door, as that is a place that specializes in poisons like this. Saito takes the guy's recommendation and heads to the next house over, opening the door and calling out to whoever is home. There's no answer and it is dark, so Saito considers using his halo to light the room up. That's when Lime the slime uses its own halo ability, something which Saito had no idea it could do. At this moment, Saito hears the voice of a goddess chuckling, speaking directly to him and commenting on how that is an unusual slime. Saito pretends he didn't hear her and tries to leave the building, but the goddess has been watching him closely and can tell he is able to hear their voices. She threatens him. If he leaves the building, then she will tell all of the other gods his secret. Saito realizes that his cover has been blown. The goddess chuckles again, insisting that she didn't come here to cause trouble. Saito turns around wanting to know who else knows about his secret besides her. The goddess explains that it is only her who knows, and if he listens to what she has to say, she will keep his secret. She reveals that she wants our main character as her hero, asking him to make a contract with her, an offer which Saito isn't a fan of. His previous goddess that summoned him to this world abandoned him like trash, and all the overgods just stood by and watched. He doesn't need anyone's help and doesn't understand why the gods play such a game anyway. The goddess says they play the game for fun. The stories of the heroes become their mythology and give them strength. She thinks it would be a lot of fun to have our main character as her hero. It's just as he suspected, the gods are just a selfish lot. Saito storms out and refuses the offer. However, before he leaves, the goddess catches his attention, claiming that she can give him more information about the blonde goddess he is looking for, the one that summoned him here and abandoned him, the one that he wants to get revenge on. Part 1 ends here. If you want a part 2, show your support by hitting the like button and commenting the word saint. Also consider subscribing so you don't miss the next video. Thank you and take care.